Alright, so the last tutorial showed how to input the data into Excel. This tutorial is going to show you how to graph the data in Excel. This is just going to make a scatter plot of your data. So what I basically have right here is the data, and before I make a graph of it, I kind of want it separated. You know, have maybe a border around it somehow to make it so it's different than the it's separated from the graph. So when you print it out, it's going to look like it's in its own area. So basically what I'm going to do is highlight this data right here, which I'm just going to click and drag to highlight. Or if you want, like whatever cell you're on, you can just hold shift and use the arrows to highlight it, just like so. Now to make a border, the easiest way that I know of, there's plenty of ways to do it though, don't get me wrong, but the easiest way that I know is to just hit Command 1. Command 1 is your friend in Excel. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with this once you're in this Format Cells window. First thing you can do with the number, you can change the kind of number that you want. I'm just going to keep it general, but if I wanted to like add decimal places to it or make a $sign, that sort of thing, make it like a date, time, whatever, fractions, you could do that. I'm just going to keep it general though because we don't need any of that. This is just a tutorial, a basic tutorial. Alignment, you can make it where it's not centered. I want it centered, so I'm just going to keep it like it is, but if you wanted, you can, you know, go to the left, go to the right, you know, make it where it stretches out and fills the whole cell up, which is not always the best thing in the world. Vertically, you can center it. You can put it on the top, the bottom, whatever you need to do for that. You can change the font if you want. I'm not going to do that. You can change the color of the font. You can make it underlined, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you know how to do the rest of that formatting. You could change the fill of it, so it just changes the background color of it, just so it stands out a little bit. We're not going to worry about protection. That sounds bad. We're not going to worry about protection on this, so we're just going to skip that part. But for what we want is the borders. So what I'm going to do is hit Outline, and what this is basically going to do, it kind of shows you a preview here. It's going to put a border around the data, and then inside, and then it's going to make a border inside each cell. So here's a little preview of what it's going to look like, and then once you hit OK, it just kind of puts it out there, and then I have a nice little border around my data. Okay, so we're going to make a scatter plot of this. So to make a scatter plot, you're going to want to highlight the data that you want to use. So I want to use this data, so I highlighted it. Then you're going to go to this Charts tab up here. Charts, graphical representation, it's just think the same thing when you see the word charts. And you can see you have various kind of charts that you can have in here. The one that I want, though, is this scatter plot one right here. So you're going to want to click this. And you can choose any of these you want. Just because we're using raw data, I'm just going to click this first one. I don't need any lines connecting it or anything like that. So I'm just going to click this. And then it kind of shows a little graph on the screen right here of all this data right here. Now, there's some things that are kind of not necessary in this graph. One of them being this legend here. There's only one part of this legend, so it's, there's only one data series. Why would you even need a legend? So I'm just going to hit delete on that. I clicked it basically like so, and then I just hit delete. It's gone. It also makes the graph a little bit bigger. If you want to make the graph even bigger, just like a picture, just go to the corner of the graph and just kind of drag, and then it kind of makes it bigger like so. All right, one glaring problem with this graph so far is this title. We don't want the title to be dependent variable. So you're going to want to change it. So just pretty much anything in Excel, if you want to change it, click on it. So I clicked on it, and I'm just going to write title. You're not going to write title. You'll actually, you're not going to write the word title. You're going to write the actual title for your graph, hopefully. Again, if you need help with that, see your teacher. Okay, so that kind of changed that. But one of the biggest things that people have issues with when making graphs is not labeling the axes. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. You're going to want to click the graph, so when it's selected, like it is right now, and then you're going to go to Chart Layout, and you can see you have Chart Title right here. And you could actually do some things with it if you want. You could you can make it where there's none, which is terrible. You can make it above it, or you can make it just overlap what the graph is already, but that looks terrible, so I'm going to go back to the above. And I'm going to change it back to, say, title, just because that's just kind of a clue that you need to enter your title here. Okay, the next thing I want to go over is axis title. I want to label my axes, so I'm going to click axis title, and it says horizontal axis title. Right now it says no axis title, that's why nothing shows up over here. So I'm going to click title below axis like so, and then it kind of spits out a little axis title right there. And you can write whatever you want. Just make sure that it matches what your independent variable is. I accidentally wrote dependent for my data. So my data over here says independent variable, so that should match it. Just so when people look at the table, they think of the graph, like, they can correlate it to the graph really easily. If you notice, it ends up being really small. So again, anything on Excel, if you want to change it, click it, and what you can do is, so after it's selected like so, I'm going to click Home right here, and you'll see. Okay, so I need to make this window a little bit bigger so it shows up, and you'll see this little these A things right here. There's A up and A down, and it just basically makes the font bigger or smaller. So I'd say that's probably good. Make sure it's not bigger than the title. The font should not be bigger than the title. That would look weird. And it's set to 12. Just good to know that, so the vertical matches it as well. So I'm going to click off this, and as you can see, it's still there. But I need to add a vertical, so I'm going to select it again. Chart layout, axis title, vertical axis this time. And I like rotated just because it doesn't cut down the size of the graph too much. You can experiment with that if you want. So I'm just going to write dependent variable right here. Again, because it should match what this is over here. But you'll notice that there's a little size differential here, so I'm going to click this, go back to home, hit A up until it says 12 here, right there. And it should match, and I did not want to move that. I'm sorry. And if you ever want to move it, you just drag it to wherever you want. Just make sure it's the crosshairs. If it's like this, it won't actually do it. It'll select the text. So you want it to be where it's like the arrows in all directions. So after you do that, I would check with your teacher, because they might want you to do something else with this data. They might want you to include a line of correlation. They might want you to add color of some sort. And now, just say you actually did want to make a line of correlation. I can show you how to do that real quick. What you're going to want to do is right-click any data point. So there's all these data points right here. Just right-click it. And then this screen shows up right here. And I'm going to hit Add Trend Line. Okay, and what that basically does is it adds this screen pops up. It kind of gives you a little preview of what it looks like right there. If you think it's linear, then you're going to want to click linear. If you think the trend is going up linearly, like that one pretty much is, so I'm going to keep that linear. If you think it's something else, you're going to want to talk to your teacher. They can help you out with, kind of understanding what trend it's actually following for the correlation. But that's basically how you do it. Any questions? Let me know. Thanks.